Hello, everybody. We're live. This is Detroit Beastie. I'm here with Nick at P2W Fantasy. You might notice there's no Jeremy today. There's no Steph today. I was going to ride solo, but I thought about Nick, and I thought, what if we both get on and we start to chit chat and hang out? I know he loves baseball just as much as I do. So my first, not solo run, but I've been handed the keys to the kingdom here on Cheat Sheet. So let's have fun. Nick, how you doing? Thanks for joining me today.
I am doing great, and you and I have talked football a handful of times. My podcasts or other people's places, but I'm pretty excited to talk some baseball just because we've been waiting a long time for fantasy and be able to do things like DraftKings and all that for baseball, and yeah, just happy to jump right into it.
Thanks so much. And I absolutely, I've said this a bunch of times, not only with you, but on other broadcasts, on podcasts, even in my writing, DFS is I wouldn't say my first love, but it's what I enjoy to do the most. I mean, I can talk seasonal football, seasonal baseball with the best of them, but given that it's only the beginning of August, right? We
Mhm.
don't know a lot about what's going on in the NFL right now in terms of rankings, projections. So I'm happy to have, NHL DFS and MLB DFS to discuss, because not to be rude to you or anybody else that's watching this, but it gets it's like Groundhog's Day, the same thing over and over again. So I'm happy we can get together and chat about DFS. So let's kick it off. We'll go right to Cincinnati tonight. Cleveland is in Cincinnati tonight. If I know you have it in front of you, Nick, but the people that are watching this,
Mhm.
the over under in this one is 8 runs. Cleveland's implied run total is about 3.8. Cincinnati is at 4.3 runs. So looking at the Cincinnati side of things, I heard Joey Votto is actually symptomatic from his COVID, but I shouldn't have said that. That's a bummer to, mention stuff like that. But
Yeah.
Cincinnati and the Tigers have played 2 series already. They were just in town last night. Castellanos hit 2 home runs. I know he hit a second one, and that they won the game there. But I really like Nick Castellanos. If you look at his price on FanDuel today, it's only $3,400. I have him around 17 or 18 fantasy points. It's pretty cheap given his output there. And again, the same cast of characters. Eugenio Suarez looks to be batting 5th today. He's at $2,900. So these guys are cheap. I wouldn't recommend a full Cincinnati stack today, but I love the combination of Castellanos and Suarez there in Cincinnati today.
Yeah, not too many guys. I mean, you obviously listed some of the heavy hitters on there that you're going to want to keep into consideration. One guy I look at pretty often just because of the talent, and when he's hot, is Nick Senzel for Cincinnati. The thing is with him, though, you got to pay attention to, is he going to play today or not? I mean, he's missed a handful of games just for being banged up here and there, but I think a lot of times on FanDuel, DraftKings, whatever the case is, his price is pretty low, and if he's hot again, I think his ceiling could be pretty good. So that's a guy that comes to mind from that game. That probably is not going to cost you too much money.
Yeah, he's looks like he's batting 7th. As you can see, this game is until 6:40 this evening, my time Eastern, and it's 4:30. So there have been some lineups that have been confirmed. Cincinnati's is not confirmed yet. So as it stands now, Senzel looks to be batting 7th, and he's $2,900. Real quick on the Cincinnati side of things, or excuse me, Cleveland side of things, Zach Plesac is pitching, and then you got the studs over there: Jose Ramirez, Lindor, Santana, and then even the young up and coming outfielder Oscar Mercado, who is the cheapest on FanDuel is $2,000, and Mercado is $2,100 today. So given the fact that Cincinnati is the favorite, looks like the wind is coming into the plate, so it's not hot. The wind's not going out. So again, just naming a few people there. Nothing that I like set in stone. No stacks here. So let's go to New York. The Yankees are hosting Philadelphia this evening. You want to kick us off?
Sure. Obviously, the guy you're going to consider just because of how hot he is Aaron Judge. I mean, you got anytime you look at the Yankee side, you can go down a list. The Ursulas and the Gardners and the go down and you can see a bunch of guys that can give you home runs and give you some points. Aaron Judge, I think, in the 5,000 range. First Arrieta today, 5 games, 5 home runs. So, I mean, even if he steps up to the plate and gives you, a couple RBIs today, I think that's going to be worth your while. I'm a big guy rolling with the hot hand versus jumping on the train of a big name who's struggling right now. So just the fact that Aaron Judge, again, 5 games, 5 home runs over the past week or two here. I like rolling with him. 14 RBIs on the year too. So that's the one guy I for sure would want to grab, I think, just because of how hot he is right now.
Absolutely, and it's impressive what he's done. And believe it or not, to everybody that's watching now or will watch, before Nick and I went live, we talked about Aaron Judge, and I came across a comment on, I believe it was Twitter, and someone said, well, Judge he's leading the league in home runs, RBIs, base hit, WAR, ISO, WOBA, like any stat you can consider. And it's been 8 games. It's only been 8 games. And you said, well, in terms of what's going on this season, that's like 20 games, let's say. So when we look at the Philadelphia side of things, I mean, Garrett Cole's going tonight. He's $11,000. His projection is sitting at like 45 to 50 points. That means there's going to be a ton of strikeouts. It's going to be 87 degrees and the wind is going out. Looks like, right to left field there. So on the Yankee side of things, I will stack the Yankees. But as far as the Phillies are concerned, I don't know if there's anything I like here. With any good pitcher like Cole or JV, some of these guys are prone to, home runs. They're pitching 90 miles an hour. You get a hold of one, boom, it's gone. So I could consider Rhys Hoskins, who's bats second. McCutchen is leading off Rhys, and then even Bryce Harper third. Harper's going to cost you $3,700. McCutchen is cheapy, $2,500, and then Rhys Hoskins. He's a couple years in now. His long-term prospects, look fantastic, and he's $3,200. So let's go south to Atlanta, where the Mets are in town this evening. I'll discuss the Mets real quick if you don't mind.
Sure, absolutely.
We got DeGrom going tonight, $10,700. He's looked fantastic. He's a stud, perennial all-star, Cy Young Award winner. And if any of you that are watching now or will watch have seen or read my crush spot, every night there's a little mini New York Mets stack that fall. It doesn't fall into my lap, but I find them in my lineup. And Brandon Nimmo batting off is fantastic for $2,900. Jeff McNeil has been a mainstay in my rosters. Third base, $2,700. Pete Alonso, the polar bear, he's starting to get it going a little bit. Not to harp on last week, let's say, but I projected him, not egotistically. Pete Alonso's going to hit a home run tonight. Book it. Boom, he hits a home run. He's $3,500 tonight. And then you go down the rest of the list, just lineup fillers for your DFS, like Michael Conforto, batting cleanup, starting outfielder, $2,800. I love the price of Conforto tonight, cleaning up for $2,800. Anything you want to mention on the Brave side of the ball?
I mean, Dansby Swanson's having a pretty good year so far. Might be a guy you consider. The average 368 right now. I'm not sure. You probably have the prices in front of you, what he's going for, but I think he's been the best at bat for Atlanta, on a team that expects a guy like Acuna, to be going off this year, or Freddie Freeman, who also is very talented. But Swanson's been the hot hand for that team right now. So I think he might be one to consider. You mentioned a handful of guys for the Mets. And I'll agree with you on that Jeff McNeil take, because, again, you got a guy who gets on base all the time. So I think he's another great pick for that.
Absolutely. And to answer your question, Swanson looks to be batting 7th tonight, and he's $3,100. And then got a couple comments from my friend Ben Anderson. He writes some baseball stuff for the site. He said that Soroka owns the Mets, and I agree. And he's only $8,500 tonight compared to DeGrom on the other side of things. He's well over 10 grand. So Soroka gives you that mid-tier, pitching at a mid-tier price to let you fit in, let's say, like a New York Yankee stack. And Ben also says maybe we should look at Travis d'Arnaud tonight. He's $2,600, not confirmed, but he's projected at batting 6 tonight. So you could fit him in that catcher first base spot.
And
Thank you.
Soroka, real quick too. Last game, 4 scoreless innings, and what you want with these pitchers too is, are the guys that are going to give you multiple innings. And you look at his 2 games, he threw for 5 innings, then he threw for 6 innings, 0 runs in that 6-inning game. You see some of these pitchers come out and only pitch like 2 innings, 3 innings, 4 innings at a time. So I agree on that Soroka take. I think he's been a stud so far, and he's been going long in games.
Yes, he's fast becoming, well, he already is one of their studs in that rotation, and he's fast becoming one of the better pitchers in baseball. So let's move to Milwaukee. Your Chicago White Sox are in Milwaukee. I'll give you the floor in terms of the White Sox, Nick.
Yeah, two guys for the Sox, and again, not trying to be super biased, but I am a White Sox fan, so I will boost some of these guys. But 2 guys that I considered right away: first base, Jose Abreu. 3 out of the 5 last games, he has multiple hits going on, and with a guy that's hitting the ball and hitting the ball often in games, with the whole team pretty much being hot right now, I think that gives him a good cushion. So with other guys getting on base, or if he's on base and guys are driving him in, with that sort of average in tools with the ability to get on base, I like Jose Abreu at first base. And the other guy, and I'm a massive Luis Robert fan.
Me too.
You yourself. I was listening to you guys live, and you said, "Hey, grab this guy now because his price is going to do nothing but go up." 2 games ago, he went 4 for 6, almost hit for the cycle. Had the home run, had 2 doubles, just went off. 351 average. That's ridiculous for a guy that's in his first full season in the MLB, and not full season, obviously, but full time, I guess.
First taste of the majors. Let's say.
There you go. You had the words right out of my mouth there. But Luis Robert, not super high in the price there. He's hitting the ball, and he's hitting the ball very, very good. In my opinion, he's the most talented guy probably on the White Sox, which is tough to say when you got guys like Eloy and Moncada and those guys. But yeah, like you said in one of your previous live streams, he's cheap. Grab him 100%.
Real quick on the Chicago side of things before I talk about the Brewers. If you look at their projected starting lineup today, Danny Mendick is talked about at second base, but they have Nick Madrigal in there too. So I don't know who's going to get the start at second base there, but whoever it is, if it's Nick, I might consider rostering him. They're both $2,000. That is bottom of the barrel, cheapest you can get there. Yeah. So in terms of the Brewers tonight, if you look at this game, the over-under is at 9.5. Aside from San Francisco at Colorado, which we'll get to, this one has the highest over-under and run implied total per team. So Milwaukee, they're projected at 4.9. So let's just call it 5 runs. Yet looking at their lineup, there's not much that I would consider. I mean, you got Yelich batting third, MVP, batting champion, kind of stud there. He's $4,000, which is right. Actually, for Yelich, that's kind of low, because if you look at the Acunas in Atlanta, or even Mike Trout, they normally stay in the $4,500 range. So Yelich at $4,000, you might not think so, but I consider that to be a value with what he can do. And Rodon's pitching for Chicago tonight, so I would absolutely consider Yelich. And Keston Hiura batting second, second-year guy, sophomore, $3,500. I have him projected at 20 fantasy points on FanDuel tonight, easy. And for $3,500, I love that combo of Hiura and then Yelich. So let's go to Minnesota. Pittsburgh is in Minnesota tonight. Lewis Thorpe, the young left-handed pitcher for Minnesota, is going tonight. I have him in a lot of seasonal teams. He's a up-and-coming prospect for them. Is going against Derek Holland in Pittsburgh, who was ejected, if I'm not mistaken, last time he pitched. So in terms of Minnesota, they're going to be absolutely chalk today. They're at home at Target Field, 75 degrees, little chance of rain. The wind is coming in, but I don't think that matters for the Mitch Garvers and the Nelson Cruzes of the world. Even Sano leading off at first base for only $3,100. Again, an absolute bargain at $3,100 on FanDuel for Sano. Then you got Max Kepler batting fifth for $3,200. These guys are fairly cheap, again, for the upside that they can produce. And going against Derek Holland, he's not a good pitcher. He's more of an innings eater. He gives up the long ball. He likes to walk guys. It's a perfect storm for Minnesota tonight. As I said, they're going to be chalk. Get Minnesota in your cash game lineups today. You want to touch on the Pirates at all?
Colin Moran has been the Pirates' best hitter so far. You know, five home runs for the year. Best scoring in terms of daily fantasy and just fantasy baseball in general. Both worlds right there. So him at third base, you got the numbers in front of you. What's he going for?
Colin Moran looks to be $2,400 this evening.
Yeah, so I mean, with him being the hottest hitter, I know it's not maybe the most appealing guy, but maybe it's something to consider if he's going for a lower price and you stacked up in some other areas. Kevin Newman is another one at shortstop that, you know, he's had back-to-back 2-for-4 games. So if you're looking for somebody with more of an average upside, might be a guy to consider. But yeah, not the sexiest of guys to talk about for the day, I don't think.
So here's my thing with Pittsburgh, if you don't mind, real quick.
Sure. If
you look at the over-under here is 9.5. I've talked about this a lot with Jeremy, who just commented. Thanks for your support, Jeremy, and Cheat Sheet. Such a creative atmosphere. I love it. So thanks for handing me the keys today, Jeremy. But as I was saying, if you look at Lewis Thorpe, he's left-handed pitcher, very cheap, $5,600. I would stack Pittsburgh tonight in a big GPP tournament. You know, no one's going to be really looking for them. And listen, it's not what I'm going to say. It's not hard-hitting analysis, but people, you know, when you have a 9-game slate and New York's playing, you got Colorado and Coors Field tonight, nobody's on Pittsburgh, and it could make for a nice stack. And if you look at the heart of their order, Kevin Newman batting second, Josh Bell, Jose Ozuna, Brian Reynolds, they're all super cheap. Even the guy batting leadoff, Cole Tucker, $2,300. The most expensive guy in that lineup tonight is Josh Bell at $3,200. And I hate to keep using the same terms or the buzzwords with upside and everything, but yeah, I think that the Pittsburgh Pirates could be a very nice, sneaky stack this evening. So let's go back to Chicago, different side. The Cubs are playing. They're hosting Kansas City tonight. And anybody who's consistently read Crush Spot or watched the MLB On Deck broadcast, I've had a thing for Kansas City, and I don't know why. And tonight, Alec Mills is pitching in Chicago, who I know you like as well as me. Alec Mills is in one of my sample lineups for after hours, if I'm not mistaken, something along that. Can confirm later on. But as far as, I'll let you talk about the Cubs. I know you're a White Sox guy. But in terms of Kansas City, just another ho-hum kind of lineup. Whit Merrifield, Soler, Ryan O'Hearn looks to be starting at first base tonight for $2,300. And then Salvador Perez is cleaning up tonight at catcher, $2,700. Not too much to discuss with Kansas City other than, I'm not going to do a full stack, but mixing and matching. If you read the articles, it's one of my favorite things to do. If I had to pluck one or two guys from the Kansas City lineup tonight, it'd be Soler and O'Hearn. 36 for Soler, $100, and then O'Hearn leading off for $2,300. So why don't you discuss the least favorite team you got going in Chicago with the Cubs?
Yeah, I mean, if I have to talk about the Cubs, you're making me do it. I guess I will. But
just say I will discuss the Cubs under protest.
Okay, all right, under protest. There you go. Alec Mills, like you said, I'm on board with that. Again, you want a guy that they're going to let pitch. Last game he pitched 6 innings. Efficient with his 77 pitches that he had. He had 2 earned runs that game. Middle of the league, Kansas City, as far as runs go. So I don't think it's a very concerning team to have to throw against, because I know Alex Mills isn't like your household name. But with a guy who pitched 6 innings and had a good first game against the Reds, I'm on board with him. As far as batters go, I like Ian Happ in the outfield. He's had a few 2-for-4 games, 3 home runs for the year, and he's a guy that can continue to hit home runs. I think he kind of finished on a high note last season, and he could be a slugger. So for a guy that is hitting multiple times a game and can give you that home run upside, I'm on board with Ian Happ.
So we had a comment, MLB underscore FD underscore expert. So we have a FanDuel MLB expert. And he says, do I think, or even you, do we think that Mills is good enough? Long term, I don't have an answer for you. Is he good enough for us right now? Absolutely. DFS, daily fantasy sports, it's daily on a per game basis. Absolutely. I'm going to throw him out there. I'm going to pitch him. He's $7,000. He's got a really, what his ERA, it's not the best. It looks like it's 3 right now. And his last time out, as I think you touched on, in Cincinnati,
Yep.
he put up 31 fantasy points. And for $7,000 as your starting pitcher to put up 31 points, that's a dream. I'll take that. I'll take that any day and twice on Sunday. So thank you for the question, MLB FanDuel experts. And let's move on. Let's go to Colorado. My favorite game of the slate, and I think anybody that plays baseball, DFS, seasonal fantasy sports, anything, Coors Field. You want to stack that game tonight in Colorado. It looks to be hot, a balmy 86. The wind is going out to left field at 11 miles per hour. Look for a lot of fireworks in this one. As I said, their over-under in this one is at a whopping 13.5 runs. So as a little kid, you learned if the decimal is 5 or anything up, you round up. So Let's just say there's going to be 14 runs in this one today. But again, beware. It's going to be massive chalk in your cash games. Load up on San Diego, load up on Colorado. In terms of your big GPPs, I would, and again, in cash and tournaments are two different things.
Mm-hmm.
In big tournaments, I would fade Colorado in hopes that maybe their bats fall silent, but I would absolutely stack San Francisco Giants tonight in a GPP. If you look at their lineup, leading off, Mike Yastrzemski, $3,800. And again, after this broadcast or even during the broadcast, go look on DFS cheat sheet at the crush spot. I nailed a lot. I didn't nail, but I hammered home a lot of this game. They're in a lot of my sample lineups, going to be chalk, but it's all about how you use it. What kind of contests are you playing? So back to the San Francisco side of things, Mike Yastrzemski leading off, $3,800. Alex Dickerson batting second, $3,200. Donovan Solano, $3,300 at third. And then tried and true, slow and steady, Brandon Belt is cleaning up for $3,600. I mean, their lineup top to bottom tonight is fairly cheap, and there can be a ton of pop in this lineup tonight in Coors Field, again, with it being 86 and the wind going to left field. So again, I repeat, I'm stacking San Francisco in GPPs tonight. I think, you know what, I'll save my comments to the end in terms of what teams I'm going to stack, the combinations and what contests to get them in. So I'm a big Colorado fan, so why don't you mention Colorado? No pressure. Sorry.
No pressure to talk about your team here. But yeah, Colorado, obviously Trevor Story's the big name for the year. 4 home runs, 5 RBIs, great average at 345. I think at shortstop might cost you a little bit more, but he's been the best hitter for them. So I obviously think that's a guy you're going to consider. Charlie Blackmon's always going to be another one in the outfield. If you have to start your 3 outfielders that you might throw in there, he's going to be a guy that has a pretty good, like you said, I'm not a big terminology guy, but he's got a good upside too, just as far as batting some runs in. But yeah, you could probably just go down the list and talk about a lot of these guys. I mean, Arenado's obviously probably the biggest name, in that lineup. He might be a guy you'd consider. I don't think he's had the best start to the season, so maybe it could be a bounce back sort of game, but maybe that's something you want to elaborate a little bit more on, or not.
Sure. Real quick, Jeremy commented, and I swear to you, Jeremy, if you're watching, I was just going to say the same thing. He commented, rarely will you see opposing team priced this low at Coors Field. And he's absolutely right, which we just went over how cheap San Francisco is tonight. And as a DFS, I've been playing for a lot of years. I'm in no way a professional, a shark, or ever the smartest man in the room. But in terms of DFS, especially baseball, I'm always looking for value, like cheap price guys that I can, insert into my lineup. But tonight in Coors Field, especially with the Rockies, I don't care. I'm spending $3,900 for Story at shortstop. I'm spending, $4,300 for Blackman, and even Nolan Arenado is cheaper than Blackman at a premium position at third base. Arenado was $4,000. So, I'm not afraid, and I implore you, other people, do not be afraid to spend up for Colorado tonight. It's going to pay off in the right situation. Cash games, or if you want to mix and match, let's say Story and Arenado, they're the corner of that infield there. Stack them. And a sneaky guy, actually, I don't think he's sneaky. David Dahl is leading off. He's $3,900. When he's in the lineup, the guy can play. He's got pop. He gets on base. When he's on base, he steals. So that's just a ton of points. And then I'm sure, Nick, you know how FanDuel and DraftKings, their points are. Anything you do on the base pass or with the bat, you get points for. So if you get David Dahl in there, you got Story. Dahl gets on, he steals second, then Story hits a home run or a base hit, knocks him in. It just points galore. So I'm not afraid to really go over the top, let's say, with this game today. Sometimes there's situations where I don't want exposure to this game. I don't want to overextend myself with one team or one player. I'm doing all of the above tonight with San Diego in Colorado tonight. I'm overextending. I'm paying up. I don't give a crap. So let's move on. Second to last game on our slate that we'll discuss today. The Dodgers are in San Diego this evening. Walker Buehler's pitching for the Dodgers. He's an even 10K on FanDuel. And then in San Diego, the young sheriff, Chris Paddock, is starting $9,100. So my initial reaction is two young stud pitchers. Do we even want to, fool around with the batting orders today? But yeah, when you look at their rosters, the Dodgers are, heavyweights, right? They're just loaded with talent top to bottom. In San Diego, I think it's safe to say they're up and coming, and they might already be there with their lineup. So real quick, I'll mention the Dodgers, quick once over. Muncy leading off, then Betts, Cody, Turner, Seager, even Kike Hernandez, that their Swiss Army knife looks to be batting not second, but playing second base tonight, batting sixth, and he's one of the cheapest guys in that lineup tonight at $2,900. If you go back and read Crush Spot, I love Will Smith tonight, their catcher. Doesn't look like he's projected to start tonight. Looking at what I'm looking at, Austin Barnes will be their catcher tonight at only $2,000. And anybody that follows baseball, Barnes, has that sneaky pop. He'll hit you a home run. And as I said, it's in San Diego. It's a nice 73 degrees. The wind's blowing out about 6 miles an hour. Looks to be west, towards first base there. So you want to touch on any of the Padres tonight, Nick?
Well, just looking at some of the batters here, Grisham in the outfield's been having a good season. Yeah, and I mean, Tatis Jr. at shortstop, he's off to a hot start. People were wondering if he could carry that on from last year, but I'm kind of avoiding some of these guys right now, to be honest. I think that they can hit and they will hit, but it's going to be up in the air. Like, how long is Buehler going to go? Are they going to let him go deep into this game? Because he didn't pitch too many innings to first start, but if he does, I don't really see a huge upside in a lot of these guys. So I'm actually not super into a lot of the Padres today, just in all honesty.
Well, fair enough. And I agree with you to a certain extent. When a guy like Walker Buehler pitches, he can, maybe he pitches 3 or 4 innings for 10 grand, right? But it's what he does with his innings and per out, right? He's a very high strikeout kind of guy. And when you look at the San Diego side of things, Tatis is leading off, Trent Grisham, who I've gone back to the well with over and over again, and his price has adjusted. It's up a little bit. It's $3,100. Manny Machado, you think of him as a 5-tool guy, averages, steals, home runs. Trent Grisham is actually $100 more than him on FanDuel today.
Hmm.
A guy that I like, and every time San Diego plays, I'm going to mention him, Will Myers, starting outfielder, batting 6th tonight, $2,700. The guy, sorry to keep saying this, but he's retooled his swing, and to me, he's a professional ball player. Jeremy says it all the time, and I know Jeremy's here in spirit. No, the owner, the founder of DFS Cheat Sheet did not pass away when I say in spirit, but he's somewhere watching and commenting and judging us. But that's his move. So I'm going to credit. He's a professional ball player. Will Myers is. So you're right. Am I going to stack San Diego tonight? No, but again, the mixing and matching. If on the spot here, we're live. I guess I am on the spot. I would say Will Myers and a Trent Grisham. They're not going to cost you a ton of money. They're going to be $5,300 total. Could get you 20, 30 plus points from that. So let's move on real quick to your Oakland Athletics. You got the jersey on. Who is it? You said Chapman?
I got Chapman on. Yep.
Fantastic. So Michael Ray Rojas, he says, let's effing go. We'll keep it PG here. Appreciate the comment. He's watching on YouTube. So, hey, Mike, any questions? Let us know. We're going to discuss Oakland at Seattle tonight. I'll go on with the Seattle side of things real quick. They're in Seattle tonight. It's 78 degrees. They don't get sun and warm weather often there in Seattle. Wind is not a factor. Looks like 6 miles an hour going like northeast towards like the right field side of things. Justice Sheffield is pitching for Seattle tonight, and Frankie Montas, who's been one of my favorite seasonal pitchers here. But looking at the Seattle lineup, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Kyle Lewis. He's been on absolute fire right now, and it looks like he's batting cleanup tonight, and he's $3,300. To me, he's going to be in all my lineups across the board. Like you said, you ride the hot hand. That is one of the absolute smartest things to do in terms of all DFS, hockey, and baseball. Most importantly, when he's in the lineup and he's hitting and he's doing the things he's doing, I want him in my lineup. And you compare him to like a Christian Yelich, who's batting 2nd tonight. He's $4,000. You can get Kyle Lewis $700 cheaper, batting cleanup in front of guys like Evan White, the young stud prospect. Shed Long is leading off. Tried and true Kyle Seager just continues to do his thing. He's starting at third base tonight, batting 3rd. So there's a lot to like in Seattle. And not to repeat myself, I've said that, not to repeat that I'm repeating myself often in this video, but Jeremy has said it. I've said it. I love having exposure to these late night games. It starts at 9-10, Eastern time, my time. But you got, when you get in big tournaments, not so much cash games, people will load up on, let's say, the Yankees, who, that game starts at 6, 7 o'clock, or your White Sox in Milwaukee tonight. Mm-hmm. So when we get to games like San Diego tonight or in Seattle, other lines that they're done. They got 117 points. They're done. And boom, we come up the rear with a Seattle stack or an Oakland stack, and we cash or we take down a big GPP tonight. So let's say that this MLB on deck video, we're going over the slate, but giving you a little, how to play or how I play or how you play, right? It's an all inclusive MLB DFS video. So hit me with some guys you like for Oakland tonight.
Well, I'm a big Matt Chapman fan. He hasn't been excellent this year, but I think third base sometimes might be a position based off the schedule that you might juggle a little bit. So I think when you're at, back against the wall, who am I going to grab? I go for talent sometimes when nobody has that super hot hand at a position. So Matt Chapman's a guy that I think he's probably the 2nd most expensive for the day, but I think he, again, is a do-it-all sort of player. So he's a guy I like. Other than that, I didn't write too many guys down on Oakland. I think I had one guy in Oakland just with Chapman, and then just to flip over to Seattle. I wrote one guy down that I thought about just because he's a guy that has stepped up big time for the Mariners and has been their probably hottest hitter. Has been J.P. Crawford. Another guy that he'll steal bases. He has a good average right now, and he'll bat in some runs. So I think with a guy like you said before, if you can get points from stolen bases, from getting on base, from RBIs, I think J.P. Crawford being the best hitter right now for Seattle, which is kind of a surprise, is another guy that I consider.
Montas is fantastic. Well said. I mean, we know what we get from, Oakland as far as, I've always loved the stack of Chapman and Olsen.
Oh, yeah.
What did they call when maybe you would know, when, or anybody in the comments real quick, when Canseco and Mark McGuire were in that lineup? I have baseball cards from the late 80s, early 90s where they're on limos with their bats, and it's Bash Brothers. That's what it was. Yeah. So why can't, Chapman and Olsen be Bash Brothers number 2? I always love getting them in my lineup. Another sneaky guy. No one ever shows love to Mark Canha. He bats 4th. He's $3,000. I mean, he can get you 15, 20 points any day of the week. And for $3,000, it's fantastic. But I do want to touch on, I know I said I like the Seattle stack, but people that are reading the article or watching this don't have to say, or don't have to do what I say. I'm just trying to cover all the bases here, pun intended. So when you look at Montas, he stays in that, $7,500 range, and tonight he's $7,700 on FanDuel. And he hasn't had, looking at his game log this year, July 19th at home versus Colorado, he put up 18 points. And then his last start, the 24th versus the Angels, he put up 24 fantasy points. So he's gotten better his last 2 starts. He's a ground ball pitcher, which is fantastic for, his long-term stats and the success of that team on a night-to-night basis. 49.4% ground ball rate, which is fantastic. And again, for $7,700, you can do worse. I have him projected at around 33 to 34 points tonight. And for his price, it's fantastic. For it being a late game, that's even better. So try it out tonight. Anybody that, is new to MLB DFS, try stacking some of the late games tonight, but getting in the earlier contest and see how it plays out for you tonight. So that's all we got for you today. I hope it helped. I hope it was a lot. Tell us where we can all find you, Nick.
You can find me on Twitter at P2W Fantasy, and we pump out all of our content through there. So if you go straight to the page, you'll find a bunch of stuff from us there. So thanks again for having me on, man.
Absolutely. I will vouch for that. He's a good follow. We fast become pretty good friends, Twitter friends. We exchanged numbers about an hour ago, so you could say things are getting kind of serious. But so thanks for coming on in a pinch. Like I said, I was given the keys to the castle. Although writing solo sounded fun, I thought it'd be better for you to come on and we could hang and talk baseball. So thanks for joining us. Thanks for the comments. Ben, Jeremy, Mike, and Mike Smith, a friend of mine from Facebook, gave us the peace sign. So we'll be back tomorrow with another MLB on deck. We'll talk about the crush spot. Find me at Detroit Beastie. I got a prospect rankings coming out from KJ, one of our new young writers. So we'll talk to you soon. Thanks, guys. We'll talk.